All right. Hey YouTube, Nate here. Haven't said those words in like what, 2 years? So that's kind of sad. We'll skip the boring explanation of why I was gone. Life's crazy. Here I am again. Maybe we'll make some of these randomly throughout, another next 2 years. So that made no sense. A couple notes. First things first, I am running on the iSight on my MacBook currently because I realized that I already had moved all of my cameras to my new apartment down at school, and I'm currently at my parents' house right now, so dealing with what I got right now. So I'm also in my old bedroom with plain walls and boringness because no one's really lived here in 4 years. And also, second note, I know I have a stupid like zit right in the middle of my forehead, so go ahead and tell me how dumb it looks like in the comments, and I'll read those and cry. So yeah, as you can see by the title, I just got done seeing Jobs, the movie about Steve Jobs' life, at least parts of it. I was lucky enough to go to an advanced screening, thanks to my friend Jeremy Labens, who took me with as his guest with his press tickets, because he owns and operates the website thedailyrotation.com. So this was a screening for other people as well, but there were 2 rows of reserved seating for press, so we got to jump at the head of the line, say his name, go to the reserved seating. So pretty sweet deal. But I'm going to try to make this video as quick as I can. Not really a lot to say, I guess. It was a movie. It was okay. I I went in expecting to hate it. Just nothing about it really looked that good. I not a, am not a big fan of Ashton Kutcher. Haven't really liked anything that he's ever done. I like Josh Gad in like Book of Mormon. I have the soundtrack to that. He's really funny in that. I've seen him in some other things. So uh, just he didn't look anything like Wozniak in any of the pictures they posted beforehand. So I just overall was apprehensive about enjoying it. So I will say that I did enjoy it a tad bit more than I thought I would, but there's a lot they could have done better. For starters, the writing just wasn't there. I'm going to try to critique this in a couple different ways because I do enjoy movies a lot. I do critique movies a lot as it is, so I'm kind of looking at it from a critical standpoint, but also try to look at it from the Macintosh geek standpoint that I can provide. So as far as the movie part goes, script not all there. Very very long movie. I could not believe it did not end. Um, and part of the reason it felt so long was the structure of it was very poor. It seemed to just drag on in parts that didn't need to. They spent a lot of time focusing on parts. I'll try not to spoil this too much. Obviously, it's a movie about history, but if you kind of want to see what parts they focus on, etc. I will try not to go too in depth. But anyway, they did focus on parts that I just didn't think were very important in the grand scheme of things, and they seemed to focus on parts that were more businessy, kind of the actual business part, not even the computer part of the business, but like the actual like board CEO, board meetings, etc. Which obviously Steve Jobs becoming the CEO and getting fired and coming back are all important things, but just how they displayed that all just it seemed to be kind of boring and long, and just that seemed to be a large majority of the movie. And some of the other things that they focused on just I don't know. Overall, it seemed to focus more on stuff not about his life and not about the computers itself, which were the 2 things that I personally kind of wanted to go in to see. Um, but yeah, uh, beyond that, as far as the movie parts go, acting, a lot of the supporting cast did great. Actually, as I know, I said Josh Gad didn't look like Steve Wozniak in a lot of the press release pictures, but later in the movie, they cut his hair, give him a better looking beard, and he looks a lot more like him. Not perfect, but to be expected. And I actually really liked him in the role. Um, didn't really think he did a good job portraying Wozniak so much as he just did a good job overall of being a likable character in the movie. He had one scene that was particularly good. If you see the movie, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Now, the big one, though, Ashton Kutcher, Steve Jobs. Nope. I'm sorry. He looks like him, pretty good at some parts, but for the most part, he just seemed to be trying way too hard. You could tell it was forced. You could tell that he was acting. It wasn't like like Daniel Day-Lewis would say, stepping into the shoes of Lincoln and basically is him, and it's like, whoa, holy crap. No, it looked like Ashton Kutcher trying really hard to act like Steve Jobs, and I just couldn't get that on my mind. He did this thing where he tried to walk like him the whole movie, and he looked constipated doing it, and like overall, that was the worst part of the movie. Was that my two biggest complaints right off the bat: Ashton Kutcher and the length, and overall the timing and how they structure the movie could have been tons better. With that being said, as far as the history part goes, the Apple standpoint, I kind of liked it. There was a lot of nods to things in the background that if you have a little bit of knowledge of Apple, you'll enjoy. Little things that just Apple fanboys will know more about. There was a Newton joke that no one laughed in the theater except me, so that was fun. Just stuff like that, people will appreciate. Uh, Also, the history was pretty good, fairly accurate, I'd say. Obviously, they had to take some liberties, rush some stuff. Some of the things just seemed pretty cheesy the way it was presented, but it's a movie, you kind of have to expect it. Um, and there was nothing glaringly bad about how they decided to present anything. The only major complaint I have is that they didn't really do a good job. They mentioned Microsoft only a few times. Bill Gates once. You don't see him. You don't hear him. You know that Steve Jobs talks to him at one point, but that's about it. You never see or hear anything really about that. And they just kind of present Microsoft as this company that comes in out of nowhere and has suddenly stolen Apple's product and is the bad guy. Which, obviously, to a certain extent, a lot of people is going to claim is true. But in the long run, obviously, there was a lot leading up to that point that was brought on by Steve Jobs and Apple that kind of gave Microsoft the opportunity to do that. And it wasn't really presented, and I would much rather see a lot of that versus the stuff they did show. But other than that, the history is pretty good. It touched on a lot of different parts throughout his life. Again, could have focused on different parts if you ask me personally, but um, so yeah, overall, as far as that goes, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Wish they would have focused more on different things, like I said, but can't really get exactly what I want. So this is kind of rambling on. I could say a lot more. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Overall, I guess I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. It was passable. It was okay. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Just a lot could have been better. Overall, could have been a lot shorter. Ashton Kutcher could have been a lot better. They could have touched more on the actual computer and personal part of Steve Jobs. Oh, sorry. One last thing I was going to say too is they did a good job presenting it objectively, but almost too extreme, to the point that they just kind of showed Steve Jobs as a huge dick, like the whole movie. Like he never really did anything that you're like, oh, that's right, he's an okay guy, he's pretty nice. It was like basically he was a dick or he was just like a genius, and that was kind of weird too because the scenes, it seemed like there would be scenes where he's just like talking about random things to his coworkers, but it was like everything he said was inspirational. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Steve Jobs had plenty of inspirational things to say to his coworkers. It just seemed to be presented in a very extreme manner. But again, movies, they have to kind of present everything, extreme to get the point across. But again, overall, okay movie. You guys will probably enjoy it because you like Apple, so it'll be easy for you to sit down for the really long movie and just appreciate the history part and just a little insight into Steve Jobs' life. So I would recommend you guys to, go out and, see it, and you'll probably walk out at least semi-satisfied like I was. What I won't recommend is to take your family and friends with you that don't care about Apple, because they will probably think it's just a really boring movie, and that's about it. So that's just my 2 cents. What I will recommend seeing, though, is if you've never seen the movie Pirates of Silicon Valley. It's a made-for-TV movie that came out in the 90s, I believe. It could have been early 2000s. That is really good, and I consider it to be light years better than this movie. Obviously, it lacks in acting and overall production value because it's a made-for-TV movie too, but as far as story goes and the way everything's presented and how it presents both Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and the relationship together, much better. Great movie, and I really enjoyed that one compared to this one. But yeah, so this was a really quick video, not really though, kind of long, just give you overview of kind of how I thought about the movie. Yeah, so I have some more ideas and maybe some videos to make in the near future. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'm back for now. Maybe more. We'll see.